Hey everyone, I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I hope that you have had a really great and amazing week. For those of you who tune in live every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live, welcome back. And thanks so much for joining here. For those of you who are brand new and this is your first mental health moment, welcome, welcome. It's Dr. Hammond here, and we are here live every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. And for those of you joining the replay on Dr. Nikisha Hammond YouTube, be sure to like this video, share, and subscribe. And hi, thanks so much for joining here. Good evening to you as well. Let me know in the comments here where you are tuning in from. And yes, I am here live today, you guys. Most times, like 99% of the time, I am here live, but the last couple of weeks I have been on a plane or somewhere or another with some type of conflict. But most times I am here live with you all. So again, let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from today. Right now, today until tomorrow, I'm in the Tampa Bay area of Florida, sunny, really hot and humid Florida. But yeah, I don't know, the last 2 weeks, I don't even know how many cities I've been in, you all. Like, I think, I don't know, at least seven, eight, nine. I don't know. It's been a lot. It's been a lot of travel over the last couple weeks. But hi from Philadelphia. Welcome, welcome. I was just there a couple weeks ago, actually. So welcome from Philadelphia. And again, let me know where you are tuning in from in the chat. New Orleans, I was actually there last week in New Orleans. Welcome, welcome. Um, Manassas, I think that's how you say it. Virginia, welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Speaking of traveling, I was in Wyoming last week, you all. So let me tell you a quick story, and then I'm going to give you some tips today for a mental health moment. But I was in, well, different cities in Wyoming. And one of the things, for those of you who are not new to mental health moment, you know that I do love mountains. I love nature, and I really love mountains. I live in Florida, so of course there's no mountains in Florida, unfortunately. So when I am in areas that have mountains, I like to explore a little bit and just be out in nature and spend some time thinking and reflecting, connecting, and all that great sort of things. Atlanta's in the house. Welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. So one of the days I was in Casper, Wyoming, and I Googled, like, so I usually Google like scenic spot near me or something like that. And for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you already know because I'm always putting in my stories, my travels. But I Googled like scenic spot near me in Casper, Wyoming, right? So it took me to this lookout area of a mountain. I think it's called Casper Mountain, but I'm not for sure. But nonetheless, I'm like, okay, let me, drive up there and take in some views, take a minute. I always teach you all about that. Take a minute for myself. So I get to this lookout area of the mountain, and it's absolutely beautiful. I can see the sights of Casper. It's a pretty decent day, not too crazy cloudy. And of course it's summertime, so it's warm, all those great things. So that was beautiful. Then I was like, well, and thanks so much for joining here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Then I was like, okay, I had a choice where I could either, and good evening from Virginia. Thanks so much for tuning in here. I had a choice where I could either go back down the mountain. I wasn't that far up, like where this lookout Google took me, the lookout, it wasn't that far up the mountain, or I could keep going up the mountain. So I was like, you know what? I got curious that day and I was like, let me keep going up the mountain. But okay, again, remember you all, so don't make fun of me, but I live in Florida. There's no mountains in Florida. I'm not a mountain driver. I'm not used to driving up steep mountains. So I decided, like I said, to go up this mountain, and it got steeper and steeper. And what happens, by the way, is most mountains, there's no like railing on the side. It's like, don't drive too close to the edge or your car is going to fall off the edge of the mountain. right? So I won't lie, like, there was a moment where I was like, "Oh my gosh," like, I kind of felt a little bit of fear, and I was like, "Whoa, like, I don't know if this is such a good idea. Maybe I should turn back." And I really had that thought. I was like, "Let me turn back right now." Not feeling too safe, not feeling like this is very, very narrow roads. And so I kid you not, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna turn around." And then I'm like, I'm on a mountain. You can't just turn around. There's only 2 lanes. There's only 2 lanes. Like, it's such a windy road. There's no space to turn around. So I was like, okay, all right, let's just like I took some deep breaths, y'all. Because I was like, okay, I have the fear, but let me take some deep breaths because there's no turning back right now. Right. I have to keep going. And so I drove like 10 miles an hour very slowly and, made my way up a little bit more up the mountain until I got to a spot where they were like, "You want to go camping?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm not going to stay overnight here. I'm just coming to see some views." But the point of me sharing this with you, it reminded me of you all actually when I was on that mountain because a lot of times, you all, when you're in your mental wellness and self care journey, you will be climbing, you will be getting better, you'll be feeling better about yourself, you'll be doing your self care, you'll be doing all the things. And then you're going to get to a point, if you haven't already, where you're gonna feel fearful and you're gonna say, "Man, let me turn around. Like, let me go back," because change is hard sometimes, even the positive change. You're going to want to turn around, make the U-turn. Maybe you should go back to who you used to be. Maybe, this change is sort of hard. Like, I really wanted to share this story with you today because if you haven't experienced it already, you will at some point because that's just how our brains work. So I really want to encourage you today as you're climbing your mountain, if you will, into bettering yourself, which is what Mental Health Moment is all about for those of you who are new. That there will come that point in the road where you say, "Oh my God, I just want to turn around." But I want to encourage you today to really make sure that you keep going. Like, feel the fear, just like I did with that mountain. Like, feel that fear, which I did. I sure did. Did have the thought of turning around until I realized actually I didn't really have a choice because it's a windy road. There's 2 lanes. There's no room to turn around. Like, here's the edge of the mountain. You can't go this way, okay? Or you're off the cliff. And over here is like somebody's gonna come speeding down because people do speed down the mountains for some reason. Because someone's gonna come speeding down, like, and you can't see them coming, right? So it's like that was my choice. So obviously I have to keep going up the mountain, which I did. But for many of you, you do have a choice, right? When you're climbing, when you're getting better, when you're bettering yourself, you absolutely have this choice. So I would encourage you today to make the choice again to keep going, even though it's scary, even though you're going to feel the fear, even though it's going to feel hard. It will all be worth it for you. And thanks for say I can't talk. Thanks so much for joining here from San Francisco. Let me know for those of you just tuning in. Let me know in the comments here where you are tuning in from today. Yes, I'm here live, but I was just sharing my story about last week for those of you just tuning in when I was on a mountain in Casper, Wyoming, and got to a point where I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is scary." To keep driving up this mountain, which I'm not used to driving up mountains because I live in Florida. But I did it anyway and just drove really slowly, but did it anyway. And I want to encourage you today to think about continuing your journey. So one of the tips I want to leave you with today on today's mental health moment is something called mindful self compassion. So again, when you're, gosh, there's just there's so much when it comes to our mental wellness. When you're in a space, you may be in a space right now where you have a choice of whether you want to give yourself compassion and give yourself grace for what you're going through, or whether you're going to move into the negative self-talk, the self-blame, the harsh self-talk, the inner critic. Some of that is a choice. Most of that actually is a choice. It could be hard sometimes to get out of our negative self-talk, but I would encourage you again to think about mindful self-compassion. So what that mean, and good evening from Florida. Welcome, welcome. Bermuda's in the house. Thanks so much for joining today. So what that means essentially is we talked a lot about mental health moment on mindfulness. And for those of you, by the way, who are new to mental health moment, all the previous replays are on Dr. Nikisha Hammond YouTube page. So you can always check out whatever area that makes sense for you at the time, when you're working on your mental wellness. They're all on YouTube. But really, we talked a lot about mindfulness. We talked a lot about getting to the present moment, which is essentially what mindfulness is. But the other piece of that is when you practice your mindfulness to think about self compassion, meaning you may be saying things to yourself. A lot of you know are familiar with affirmations, which is essentially positive things that you're telling yourself to reprogram and unlearn a lot of the negative crap that people have told you over time or that you've told yourself. A lot of things we tell ourselves are not true, you all. Just because you think it doesn't make it real, it doesn't make it true. So when you start to unlearn some of those things and you start to have self compassion and you start to say things to yourself like, I'm doing the best that I can. Because for some of you right now, you may be in a place where you're like, man, whatever you're going through is hard. It's difficult, whether it's something you did, something someone else did, or whatever the case may be, society, like whatever is happening right now, you need to tell yourself, I'm doing the best I can. Or you need to tell yourself, I deserve to have grace. I deserve to have happiness. I deserve to have emotional health. I am worthy. Like there's 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 levels to it, but there is a process of learning the self compassion. It starts with your self talk. Like, what are you telling yourself? There's a gazillion studies that show that a lot of our thoughts are negative, but not every single one of them are negative, right? Like we can kind of hone in sometimes and do our best to focus on the positive ones, which we can create ourselves, right? So I encourage you today to think about um, how can I have more mindful self-compassion. So again, for those of you who came in at the beginning of today's mental health moment, hearing me talk about my crazy story of driving up the mountain here. Again, you're going to come to points in the road, and what's interesting actually about driving up that mountain when I did the GPS when I was like, "Oh, scenic spots near me," and I did the GPS to, like, the lookout point, which is not it wasn't that high up on the mountain. I didn't even think about it, you all. It was still a little bit windy to get up there, and I never thought about it. I was like, "Oh, yeah, cool, like, follow the GPS, it's telling me where to go. I'm technically going up a mountain, and I get to the lookout point, it's beautiful, I'm taking pictures and videos, of course, putting them on my stories and all those sort of things." But then when I didn't have the GPS anymore, right? That it was just like I saw the mountain kept going up. I was like, oh, like there was no navigation, right? There's certain things that happen in our lives that there's no navigation. And when I started going up that mountain, there was no turning back, right? So there's just things that are going to happen that seem pretty easy to get through, and then there's some right some scary points, some unknown things that are happening. Maybe that's happening for you right now. Maybe you're needing clarity in your life right now. Whatever it is that you need for you, whatever it is that you're going through or not going through, I want you to understand that you deserve to have self compassion. Like that is something that it's a really beautiful thing when you work on gaining your own inner peace because you are with your thoughts 24/7, your own thoughts. So, regardless of what everyone else has to say around you, which that's a whole nother mental health moment about blocking out the noise, but for your own internal thoughts that you have an opportunity to build your inner peace. And that starts with having mindful, like being conscious about what are the things you're saying to yourself, having that self compassion, guiding yourself through. Um, Guiding yourself through all that life is throwing at you right now. Because it was interesting. Well, I'll let you all know when the podcast comes out. But I was just on a podcast interview actually, and we were talking about that very thing about stress and about how not only like obviously the negative things that pop up in our lives and the surprises that we didn't want to happen can cause us stress, but sometimes the really good things can cause us stress too. So if you're in a place where you're, you know, getting a promotion at work, or maybe you're about to retire, or maybe you're about to have a child, or maybe a new grandchild, or whatever, some other major change that is considered good, or even moving sometimes can be a good thing, that can also bring about a lot of stress too, which can lead to us telling ourselves a lot of things that are not necessarily true about us. So again, I want you to think about this week. How can you add in more mindful self-compassion for you. And what does that look like for you? Like, what are the types of things that you need to tell yourself, right? So for some of you, you need to say, like, I deserve fill in the blank. I deserve happiness. I deserve emotional healthy. I deserve to be emotionally healthy. I deserve to feel worthy. I deserve to have this self-care time. Like, whatever it is for you that you know you need to work on, you can start telling yourself these things, even though, yes, I know what some of you are thinking. You're like, man, I say it, but I don't believe it. But still say it. Still say it to yourself. Still continue to say those positive things to yourself, and work on building up to the point when you will believe those things about yourself. Um, Before I hop up here today, I did want to share with you all, for those of you who haven't heard the good news, that my next book is coming out soon. I'm so excited. It's called Mindset Training: Conquer Your Mind and the Rest Will Follow. You can get the book, well, it's on pre-order right now, but you could pre-order the book, I should say, at mindsettrainingbook.com. If you pre-order it, it technically comes out September 10th, but if you pre-order it now, there's a ton of free goodies that I'm giving away and some bonuses in there for pre-ordering the book. Super excited about the book because really and truly, to me, what it boils down to in my 15 years of being a psychologist and hearing thousands and thousands of stories from people all over the globe, frankly, is it's our mindset. Like, if someone were to say, like, how do you have a better life? How do you become a better person? It really is through your mindset. Like, your mindset is so important. That's why I'm on here every week, you all, talking on Mental Health Moment. This is, I don't even know what year this is. I don't know, 6 or 7 years. It's been a minute since I've been on this platform. And thank you. Shout out to Dr. Jackie King, who has this amazing platform, but Black Women Empowered Incorporated. But I'm on here every week because it really, really is about your mindset. When you work on training your mindset, when you work on understanding how to grow physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, when you show up powerfully for yourself and for those around you, it really can just be a better, happier, and fulfilling life. And you deserve that. So that is one of the reasons. There's a million, but that's one of the reasons why I wrote my next book. So I'm super excited to share that with you all. So mindsettrainingbook.com is where you can go to get that. And also my other announcement. Oh, let me see. Yep, I do have it in here. Good. I'm glad I put this. My other announcement is, if you are in the Central Florida area or close by, or just want to come to Orlando, I will be speaking at the Amp Your Life Now Summit, which I'm also super excited about. It's hosted by my dear friend Manny, and it's going to be so phenomenal. Like, I'm excited to be there as a speaker, but I'm also excited to be there just at the summit because it's going to be amazing. So it's Amp Your Life Now. I'll be speaking about amp your mental health, but it's amp your business, mental health, personally, professionally. Like, how can you level up? How can you be a better version of yourself, and connect with like-minded people, which of course is very important. So nonetheless, that's going to be in Orlando, Saturday, July 27th. AmpYourLifeNow.com/summit is where you can go to get tickets. So I would love to see you all, for those of you, again, in the Florida area, or if you're planning to be in Orlando this summer. I have some other announcements, but I don't want to overwhelm you all today. So as I get those all together, I will definitely put them on my website. There's a lot of announcements, but I will do my best. Or let me find that here for you all. Okay. I know I'm changing a bunch of screens today. So drnikishahammond.com is my website where you can always go. I try to put it under news and updates, just events I'll be speaking at, which there's a lot this summer. So my team and I are doing our best to update the website as fast as we can. And also, I'm currently on a podcast tour, you all, so I'm super excited about that, to share more information about burnout prevention and about my book, my new book. So I will also, as quick as we can, put all the episodes on drnikishahammond.com as well. So you can always catch the replays of the podcast interviews. But just different amazing podcasters. I've done a couple of them, and yeah, there's a lot that I'll be doing over the next couple of months. So we'll put all the links to the episodes and everything. I'll make sure I share it on my website, of course, and so you guys have access to that as well. You all know if you need me at any time, you can always reach out. So LinkedIn, Dr. Nikisha Hammond, or Facebook, Dr. Nikisha Hammond, Instagram, Dr. Hammond, or Twitter, also known as X. I'm on there as well. So you can always reach out on social. You can, again, website for updates, information, podcast interviews, upcoming events. It's very busy right now, you all, but I'm doing my best to also prevent burnout, which is what I teach, and mental wellness, of course, which is what I share with you all each week. It's just busy, super busy summer. But nonetheless, thank you all. Well, first of all, thank you for tuning in, but more importantly, thank you so much. I want to just take a quick moment to thank you all today for doing your best to oops. Okay, so yeah, just ignore the spam in the comments, you all. For doing your best to show up here each and every week and doing your best to show up for yourself, to really learn ways to better yourself. Because again, this is about you. I always say make yourself your number one priority. But it's also about when you do make yourself your number one priority and you can show up powerfully for yourself, you're also doing amazing things to be positive and impactful for the people around you who need you as well. So your friends, your family members, your coworkers, your community, like you can show up for people better and stronger in that way as well when you take care of yourself. Let me see. Okay. So I will be back next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have an amazing week. Make sure that you incorporate some mindful self compassion in your life this week. Have an amazing week. Be blessed. I'll be back again next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time live, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. Be well, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.